Good day, everyone. Before we proceed to our main topic, let's have some idea about the topic to be discussed. As you can see the word on screen, the word is talon and you are using your macro skills reading. But the word talon here is two words. Of course, talon is a Tagalog word. So, all we have to do first is to find out what talon means. Talon is jumping or lumundag, either a waterfalls, to or isang uri ng anyong tubig. Makes sense, right? So, when I say si Maria ay naligo sa talon, what would be the answer here? Picture number 1 or picture number 2? Of course, the answer is picture number 1. As we focus on the accuracy of each words in the sentence, it will lead us to understanding the meaning of the sentence. Next example is this. It shows a different picture and also have a different pronunciation. The three macro skills are present there, which is reading, speaking, and viewing. If we focus on the meaning and accuracy of these two, it read as tubo and tubo. The example here is, ang asukal ay nanggaling sa tubo. In this example, we use the accuracy of each word to get its meaning. When we hear the pronunciation of tubo, we already knew it. Another example is, ang tubo ng tubig ay nasira. Dun sa meaning niya, of course, the answer would be picture number 2. Next example is this. Let's take a look at the picture. As we use our macro skills listening, almost they have the same pronunciation, baga and baga. But when we see the picture and its meaning, baga, ninggas ng sinisindihang uling, and baga, parte ng laman ng tao. The picture in its meaning, kumbaga, hindi sila accurate. Itong baga na ito ay dito, while ito naman ay dito. So that's it. Let's proceed to the main topic.
Let us now proceed to our topic discussion, which is the teaching for meaning and accuracy. In this lesson, we will learn how to differentiate two similar terms that has different meaning. But before that, let us know first how language skills build our confidence. When you teach the language macro skills of listening, speaking, reading, writing, and viewing, you are responsible in helping the learners build the competence in using these macro skills meaningfully and accurately. This is called as a balanced teaching method. This simply means that learning and teaching macro skills such as listening, speaking, reading, writing, and viewing can be a big help in building competence and confidence of a learner. And we as a future educator, when we are teaching the language macro skills, meaning we are responsible in building the confidence of our learner, and this is called as a balanced teaching method. For instance, we are teaching our students in public speaking and give them a task like video broadcasting, impromptu, and other activity that may include in speaking skills. And this can make their self-esteem develop. You can also try to speak alone or face yourself in the mirror and express your thoughts by using English language. This can be a big help. In this lesson, we have two important terms. First is accuracy. Accuracy refers to how correct learners' use of the language system is, including their use of grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. It is also compared to fluency when we talk about learners' levels of speaking or writing. When we say accuracy, it refers to the correctness use of language, meaning the use of the words in a sentence. In fact, there are some words that has the same spelling but in terms of their meaning they are different. I will give you an example later. So, the second term is meaning. Meaning is the thing one intends to convey, especially language. So, to better understand, if accurate talks about the correctness use of language, well, meaning refers to what is the word or phrase or action all about. Learners must be actively involved in the learning process in order to learn. To learn, speak, read, and write particular language, learners must speak, read, and write the language. There is no other way to learn a language except to speak, read, and write the language. Successful language learning focuses on meaning, accuracy, and fluency, not either fluency or meaning or accuracy, but both meaning, accuracy, and fluency. So, of course, the only way to learn speaking, reading, and writing is to speak, read, and write. And as I said a while ago, that you may do expressing your thoughts by simply facing the mirror to practice your speaking skills. This can also help you to develop your pronunciation and confidence as well. So, to be a good writer, reader, and speaker, we should be fluent and good in using words. We should know when to use words in a sentence. I repeat that there are words that is somehow similar in spelling but different in sound and meaning. Let me give you an example. In this example, we can see that there are two similar words which are the word tayo and tayo. The first word tayo refers to the word us, while tayo talks about standing. Now let us talk about proper pronunciation of each example. Now think if where is the stress sound of the word tayo? It is in the first syllable or in the second syllable. I will give you 5 seconds to think. The correct answer is in the first syllable. Tayo word have rising intonation in the first syllable, and that is why we pronounce it as tayo. How about the second term? The correct answer is in the second syllable. The tayo word have rising intonation in the second syllable. That is why the correct pronunciation is tayo. According to the Malon 2000, a balanced teaching method allows learners to successfully learn by focusing on the learn of language, teaching for accuracy, and focusing on the whole text, teaching for meaning. Let us now proceed to the application. Let us check your understanding for meaning and accuracy. Write TA in the blank if the activity highlights accuracy and TM if the activity highlights meaning. Number 1. A student is shown a sequence of pictures and she will be asked to tell the story. Number 2. A student draws a picture of her favorite place and she tells the class about it. Number 3. A student follows dot lines to form letters. Number 4. A student matches the sound to its letter counterpart. Number 5. A student reads and writes her own name correctly. So number 1, a student is shown a sequence of pictures and she will be asked to tell the story. It is TA or TM. If you said it is TM, then you're correct. It is TM or the activity highlights meaning because the activity has something to do with a student who actually telling the story or telling the meaning of the picture. So it is TM. How about number 2? If you said it is TM, then you're correct. This activity highlights meaning because the student draws a picture of her favorite place and she is trying to tell the class about that picture or about that drawing. Number 3. A student follows dot lines to form letters. If you said it is TA, then you're correct. This activity highlights accuracy because the student tries to follow the dot lines to form letters to correct the letters. Number 4. A student matches the sound to its letter counterpart. And this number, if you said it is TA, then you're also correct because this activity highlights accuracy. Why? Because the student tried to match the sound to its letter counterpart. So the student is trying to correct where is the proper match or proper matches of the sound to each letter. The last one is a student reads and writes her own name correctly. And this is a TA. Why? Because the activity also highlights accuracy because of the student that a student reads and writes her own name correctly. From the word correctly, the student trying to correct his name, her name, he is trying to read and write her name correctly. So it is TA. It highlights accuracy. So that's all for our application and let us proceed to our generalization.
Generalization. In the discussion, the generalization of the topic is the macro skill, focusing on the meaning, focus on accuracy. Listening. Listen in order to understand, think critically, and respond creatively. Factors on accuracy. Recognize and distinguish sounds, recognize parts of words. Speaking. Speak with understanding to communicate knowledge, ideas, and experiences. Use correct vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar. In reading, read with understanding to apply, analyze, evaluate, and to create knowledge. Decode by recognizing parts of words and sentences. Writing. Write to communicate knowledge, ideas, experiences, goals. From letters, properly and neatly spell words accurately. Use correct grammar. Viewing. View in order to understand, think critically, respond creatively. Recognize and distinguish print and non-print materials and be able to critique the materials objectively. In Maloney, 2001, compared to 3 teaching methods that are commonly used in teaching knowledge in the early years, these methods includes the part to whole to part, and balance methods. Part to whole is a teaching method in which instruction begins with most basic unit of language learning and works up to more complex aspects of language learning. More attention is given to skill development through drills and less attention is given to constructing meaning through language. The example is the teacher provides premium in the practice of forming letters, spelling, words, and copying text. Whole to part is a teaching method that emphasizes the importance of the learner's understanding of the context in which the language is said. This teaching method emphasizes the importance of meaning construction in the learner's use of his/her language. For example, the use of Big Book is storytelling activities is an example of this method where the goal of the activity is to make learners understand the story with the aid of the Big Book. Balance method. It is a combination of the two methods prescribed above. Example, try to identify the activity that is being described in number 1 to 3. Use this list below. A. Shared reading. B. Interactive read loud. C. Guided reading. D. Independent reading. E. Shared reading. And F. Interactive writing.
Now, let's proceed to performance task. Let's start with this question. What is performance task? A performance task is any learning activity or assessment that asks students to perform to demonstrate their knowledge, understanding, and proficiency. Performance tasks yield a tangible product and are performance that serve as evidence of learning. Unlike a selected response item example, multiple choice or matching that asks students to select from given alternatives, a performance task presents a situation that calls for learners to apply their learning in context. Now, why is it important that performance tasks should be meaningful and accurate? This is to make the learning of the students meaningful and processes of their learning to suit to their ability. Now, let's look at this example of performance task. Example, the activity description 1. Teachers select a book that is slightly above the level of most students in class. Teacher and students read out loud together. Often, the text contain rhyming words or patterns that are predictable for students to read with teacher. 2. The teacher can overlap certain parts of the text, a letter, a word, or a phrase, to have students predict what makes sense based on the skills being covered. Number 2, the students will read the same book appropriate to the reading level. The teacher introduces the book, points out vocabulary words, and allow the students to do a picture walk. Then, students will have to read the book on their own, at their own pace, while the teacher listens and assists. The teacher prepares a comprehension check afterwards. Number 3, the class collaboratively creates a written work that the teacher models the writing and the students help in composing it. The teacher models a range of skills like grammar, phonics, punctuation, spelling, and writing process itself. On this activity description, we will see here that there is a step-by-step process. It just shows that the students' activities are accurate and meaningful. This is important because it allows students to be guided in their work so that eventually students can give the correct answer and see positive performance. This will allow a teacher to know if his or her teaching processes are effective. It can also be used by the teacher as a basis for his or her productive teaching in the present and in the future. That's all. I hope everything is clear. Thank you very much for listening.